Welcome to this edition of the Left Behind Game Club. This week, we play FTL Faster Than Light. If you're a fan of the show, two things. First, consider sending your favorite show to a friend. And the second thing, you and your friend can come and join our Discord channel. So if you go to leftbehindgame.club, there's a Discord button right there on the front page. You can come in, talk to me, Mike, Mo, all of our guest hosts, and all the other members of the Left Behind Game Club community, and talk about what you're playing. But back to the game at hand, FTL Faster Than Light. Throughout the show, we discussed our most effective strategies, but I think that Mo's thirst for guns might have gotten the better of him.
My strategy was mostly around not getting hit.
Okay.
I was the Floyd Mayweather of ships. Mo, what was your strategy? Let me guess. All in guns.
Literally, that's exactly what it is. Like
I feel like you're listening to the Left Behind Game Club. Welcome to the Left Behind Game Club, our never-ending attempt to make sure that no game is left behind. I'm your host, Jacob McCourt, and today I have two friends. The OG crew is back. Let's start with Murtadi.
Hey, what's up?
And Michael Ruffolo.
I'm excited to talk about a great game.
I'm excited to talk about a great game with a great friend who has returned to us. Mo, hi.
How's it going, guys? Glad to be back.
So glad to
It's been a 60 second.
It's been a hot minute.
It has been 60 seconds.
Correct.
So the game today is Faster Than Light, FTL Faster Than Light, developed and published by Subset Games, came out in 2012 on PC, OS X, OS 10? OS X.
Who knows what it was back then?
Yeah, Linux, and then it came out on iOS with an expansion in April of 2014. Mm-hmm. What's this game about? What's the deal?
You are a strategy flight spaceship commander.
That's a sentence.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make much sense.
Every single time, whenever we have what's this game about, I always come in with the heat. Yeah, no, you manage like a giant spaceship. I guess you're like the overlord follower guy, and you kind of navigate to different sectors where your main goal is to keep the ship running and defend it from any wrongdoers or people that might want to give you harm.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
I always bring it back.
You bring the heat. So you are the captain of a Federation ship, and you have secret intel on the rebels, and your goal is to make it through the different galaxy sectors to get to the very end, deliver the intel to the rest of the Federation, and defeat the massive rebel fleet. Mm-hmm. And it is a roguelike.
Michael, what is a roguelike?
A roguelike is a procedurally generated game where one run is never the same as the next. Usually involves permadeath, and they're usually fairly difficult.
Mm-hmm. What are some examples of other roguelikes?
Well, there's the original Rogue.
Binding of Isaac?
Yes, Binding of Isaac would be a roguelike.
It's a good example of that.
Blanking on others. I know them when I see them.
Yeah. But I would say like Binding of Isaac is one, and Splunky. Those are usually the two I go to.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then one other thing that I want to talk about before we actually talk about the game. This was one of the first big Kickstarter projects.
You're right. I totally forgot that it was a Kickstarter game.
I also forgot about it until I looked up the kind of release date stuff that I look up. This game came out on Kickstarter the month after Double Fine Adventure, which was the biggest Kickstarter campaign at the time. So Kickstarter, as you know, crowdfunding, you give money, and then eventually maybe you'll get a product back in return.
Maybe.
Yeah, if you make a wise back.
So they asked for $10,000 to finish the game. So these guys are like X2K Shanghai guys. Mm-hmm. And they asked for $10,000. They said, we want to finish this game. We need $10,000 to survive. And they ended up getting $200,000. And like it was one of the first big Kickstarter campaigns. So
I actually think I backed it.
Did you?
I think I did.
Mm-hmm. Because it came out around the time of the Idle Thumbs Kickstarter.
Yes.
The Double Fine Kickstarter. And then this one came out in April of 2012.
I remember being on a crazy backing spree. Mm-hmm. Where I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Kickstarter. It's great.
It's so cool.
And then you get burned once and then you never go back. Should we talk about FTL?
Let's talk about FTL. So how hard is
you,
this game?
How did you play it first?
Okay. So I played it on my MacBook Air, and I alternated back and forth between the Enhanced Edition and the original.
And then the Enhanced Edition is basically just like added Advanced Edition content, right? It's like, hey, additional content.
So different things that can pop up on your run. I think they might have added new ships, things along those lines.
How did you play it, Mo?
On my PC. Was it available on the iPad?
Yep. I think I own it on iPad as well.
Really? So I was like, as I was playing this game, I think it'd be a solid game for an iPad, and I'll get into it later on, but I think I would have preferred to play it on an iPad. But no, yeah, I played on PC. It was really good. And
You're a filthy casual, Mo.
No comments yet.
And I flipped back and forth between PC and Mac, but played it on Steam. I also wanted to play it on iOS. Like, I wish I already had it in my Steam library because I probably bought a bundle, a humble bundle, and then got this game. But I wish I would have had it on iOS as well. Yeah. So where do we start with FTL Faster Than Light?
So how hard is this game, guys?
Don't get me started. Okay, it's one of it's
so
it's not.
hard.
Here's the thing. The thing is, it's not. I wouldn't even say it's like, because like each level is different. Each like time you go through it, something the unique happens. I wouldn't even like say it's hard. It's just it's easy for it to knock you off your course and you not expect it, and that's what I found when I first initially played it. So my strategy when I first started playing it, before I even talked to you about it, Jacob, was I'd go through each sector and try to get to the exit, so proceed on as fast as possible and not exploring the region to get resources, I guess. My thought process was like, hey, there's like 8 sectors or whatever. Let me get to the end. I'll race there. Just like with like most like adventure games, like you never really need to like fight the bad guys if you can get to the next checkpoint. Unless like they lock you away and say, hey, no, finish this area.
No, but then you're super weak. Like, I mean, in general in games, if you just skip all the people, you're not going to get experience, you're not going to level up, you're going to be bad.
But you can't tell me that you didn't have a game where like you're fighting something and it's like getting too intense, you're just about to die, and you're like, let me just get to this little end point just to escape it. I've done it several times. So this is my original strategy, and as you guys know, because I mentioned it in the Discord to you guys, was I'm struggling. How do you guys even get past this point? Like, I'm not getting past maybe I think the 3rd sector. I just keep getting wiped out.
No joke. For the longest time, I had that exact same strategy of very, very early on. They tell you like get to the end as quick as you can. Right? It says deliver these plans, and you feel this real sense of urgency to get there. So I'm like, I'm just going to race them. Like they're not moving that fast, and I can get to the end before they do. And then you realize after a couple runs, oh, it doesn't matter how quickly I get to the exit and hop to the next sector. They're always just one step behind me.
Yeah, I would say that with an asterisk, though, because like it's not the Federation, but the bad guys, the rebels, as the rebels kind of come closer to you, because it's like a star map, right? So it's like you pick which stars to jump to. You're like, I'm going to jump here, 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 and maybe it takes 10 jumps to get you from the beginning of a sector to the end of a sector. And at the same time, the rebels are coming step by step closer to you in a wave, exactly. But the thing is, at first, I'm like, I'm not going to let these guys touch me. They're like the lava. I'm not going to get on the floor.
That's what I thought. That was the lava.
But you can actually let them like come. You can fight them.
Never.
Like you don't want to. You don't want to get too mired.
Do that.
You don't want to. But like, let's say you want to grab a distress signal, or you want to get to a store that you've not been to. Like, you can let them touch you. Like, you should never stay in the lava for long. But you can mess with them for a little while.
Yeah, and like I think the best point just to get out of that was, if you are going to be playing this game anytime in the near future or in the late future, explore each sector early on. Get as much resources as possible, because I didn't notice that until hours into the game, and it would have saved me so much time, and I would have had a way more pleasant experience if I knew, hey, get resources, build up the ship, and so on.
How many hours did you play, Mo?
Maybe 4.
Okay. Jacob?
20.
Did you guys ever win?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
And I played so I started on medium because I'm like, hey, medium is I
was on easy.
It is medium. No.
Yeah. Easy, medium, hard.
Normal. I was on normal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, normal in games, like sometimes I can do, sometimes I can't. No, normal is like hard. It is like a hard. I couldn't get past the 2nd sector. So I dropped down to easy. I'm sure now I could get farther, but like I did every run on easy, and I still haven't won to this day.
Yeah, and what did you find usually? Well, so here's one. I guess this reason why I kind of struggle too is probably just like exclusive to me. So I have one of those little fancy Razer, like super awesome gaming mice or whatever, and it has a super high sensitivity, and I use it for like every game I played, and I'm just used to it, and I never realized it was actually super sensitive until someone else has used it and said, hey, you don't have a mouse. I'm like, no, it's just flying across the screen. You use it. Anyways, so with FTL, there's sometimes where you have to like open specific doors in your spaceship to like really to put out flames and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I'd find I'd need to be super precise and click, and I'd misclick a lot earlier on, and I just never changed the sensitivity settings on my mouse.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like if I had like if I thought of that ahead of time and maybe I like did that and I wanted to keep switching back and forth sensitivities, maybe I would have been better at this game.
And the thing with the doors is you actually have to almost like click near the door and then click the door again, right?
Exactly.
So
to close it. Well, and then later on, I found out there's hotkeys to open all the interior doors.
I was going to say, you guys are missing some pro tips here.
Yeah, so that's another pro tip.
Hold up, what?
Yeah,
everything is hotkeyed. Every system, every character in your ship.
There's a hotkey for them.
Everything is hotkeyed.
So it doesn't tell you that until later on. So I found out like you can open all of your doors inside your spaceship all at once by pressing like V or something.
You hover over anything that you can interact with, and it'll tell you what the hotkey is for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's another fun. Like, if you'll have a great experience after listening to this podcast and playing this game, because you'll know everything you need to know to do well in it. And we just didn't, because we played it independently and learned by ourselves.
I use some hotkeys, like the pause, enter to like have
escape.
So I did set up everyone to like, hey, go to your stations, and that's like / to like save everyone's positions.
I didn't do that.
And then enter to go back to your normal stations. Because sometimes you're like, hey, go repair that, go put out that fire, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Send everyone back with enter. That I did do. But that's the only hotkey I used.
Me was opening and closing. Because one of the trickiest things that kept happening was like whenever you'd let space into your ship, you'd lose oxygen in certain regions. And that's why you'd want to like close the window and then open the entire ship so oxygen disperses quicker. I didn't know that until earlier on. I'd have like one room that's completely red, meaning there's no oxygen in it, and then it'd get shot up, and I'd send one of my guys, and now he's choking because he has no oxygen, and
he's trying to wrench everything back together.
And I sent him into his death because like he can't survive like anything in there. So it was just like a mess, and like me trying to click to open specific pathways, so only certain doors and things were moving. So I was having like a nightmare of a time. But the cool thing about this game is as you learn all these little quirks, you get better and better and better. So I feel like the more hours I put into it, you can get good at this game relatively easy. That's why I don't want to say it's a hard game. It just has a learning curve that is reasonable, but like you have to put an effort.
It's a very hard game, but because it never gets more difficult unless you go to a higher difficulty, each run you get more competent. You develop a sense of mastery, and you know that you playing for the 100th run is no more difficult than you playing the first run. But you know on that 100th run, you know you've done so much better because you know what you should be going to, you know what you should be avoiding, you know
prioritizing.
Okay, you know the most important thing that I found in this game is making sure that you pause, wait until you figure out what you're going to do.
What?
Pre-cue all of your actions.
Pro tips.
Unpause. Wait until the situation changes. Pause again. Assess your situation. Taking it much more slowly. Because if you play it like a real-time game, it is hugely difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't know about this whole pause life
see,
hack.
I do pause, but I feel like I should be pausing like 50% more than
Yes.
I am. There are times where it's getting away from me, and like I'm not looking at my hull damage, or I'm not looking at a fire if my sensors aren't working, and
So
like
let's
I'm
explain
missing
that.
something. Yeah. So which part do you want me to explain there?
So let's explain the ship.
Yeah. Okay. The
So
systems in the ship.
Yeah, so you start out the game selecting between two ships that have different layouts and different what would the term be?
Like modules?
Yeah, different modules. And each module does a different thing. You could have a module that's all about cloaking, which allows you to go invisible in the middle of a battle and gives you different options when you have an encounter. You could have a module that's a weapon that allows you to fire off different projectiles or lasers or fire beams, things like that. And there are like teleporters. And so each ship has its own layout where all of these items are located. And each ship has different modules that connect to it. Mm-hmm. And so as you play through the game, you're in a one-on-one battle with a ship. And each ship should have shields. They have an engine, they have a pilot, and they have different subsystems. Mm-hmm. And as you play, there's a one-on-one battle. And the ultimate aim is to shut down the subsystems in the enemy ship, so that way you can take over their ship or destroy it and collect all of the resources.
And with that is over time, you can add systems that like aren't part of the base system, right? So like you can add hacking and you can min-max what you want to. So like say that you want to min-max your shields first. There are like 5 levels of shields you can upgrade, and each upgrade costs more. But with each system that you're adding or upgrading, you need more power to do that. So you have to, it's that delicate balance of like, what systems am I going to add? What systems am I going to upgrade? Am I going to upgrade my reactor? And at the same time, add drones, add weapons, because you can pick the loadouts that you like.
So guys, what did you guys max out first? This is a loaded question, pun intended.
So when I started every run, I always named my crew Mike, Jacob, and Mo, because you started with 3 crew members.
Adorable.
And because I am the hero of my own story, I was the captain of my ship. Jacob was my Scotty, manning the reactor.
Aww.
And Mo, surprise, surprise, was manning the weapons.
You mean like the engines, right?
You were my Scotty manning the engines.
Oh, thanks.
Mo was manning the weapons. Mo likes guns, so I figured there was no room. Actually, the one mission or the one run that I did very well in, that I almost beat the rebel ship at the end, I had mixed you guys up, and Jacob was in the weapons, and Mo was in the reactor. So I don't know what that says, but
maybe Mo's not as good with guns as he thinks he is.
Maybe
that's why I need to practice.
So yeah, maybe Jacob's the real shooter champion.
Maybe I have a real passive aggressive side that nobody else sees.
Yeah.
So whenever I would start, I would always immediately. So I'd pick the Kestrel every single time.
Okay.
Which is the first basic default ship that you see.
The human ship, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I would always upgrade the shields, because if you can make sure that they can't hit you, you can use all of the scrap that you collect from all of these different battles to upgrade your systems and not spend it towards repairing your ship.
Another hot tip.
And so after I would upgrade my shields, I would upgrade my FTL engine. So that way I could have a higher dodge rate. I could be hit less. My strategy was mostly around not getting hit.
Okay.
I was the Floyd Mayweather of ships.
It's a great reference.
Yeah. Mo, was your strategy? Let me guess. All in guns.
Literally, that's exactly what it is. Like
I feel like that's what you started with.
Yeah, I did. So I started off, was like, as soon as there's an option to increase and you get a new cannon or a new like Artemis rocket launcher, whatever it was, I bought it. I said, hey, I have cash. I only have like 25% health right now, but I really want this laser gun because
this is a big gun.
Yeah, so that's essentially what I started doing, and then I had serious issues because I would get chopped down. Like whenever I get into a situation where I'd get hit like twice, something would be on fire before I can fix it, and I'd be worried, and everything would just blow up. So I would jump and talk to you guys about it, and you're like, no. Don't get the guns. Get the shield. And I saw an instant like survival rate like triple.
Yes.
For my ship after like I started boosting that and not getting hit and not taking any damage, and even taking damage, but the shield would absorb it. So that's what I'm saying. Like it's I still can't say it. I don't want to say it's a hard game. It's just you have to learn all these small things, and there's no way to really learn it all. You kind of have to go through it, and you learn by dying.
100%.
Yeah.
Jacob, what was your strategy?
Well, first, how many hours have you played in this game? Like total? Because you played it before the podcast too.
Probably 25.
Okay. And did you beat it in this new run of...
no.
You have not beaten it either.
I beat it back in my initial 15, 20 hours of play. And then I was super excited because I'm like, I beat it. I can do this now. I know I can do this. And then I played the next run and I died in the first sector.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done.
So what did I use? I upgraded shields immediately, but not at first. I think I was spending more money on weapons and crew instead of actually upgrading my ship. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I actually need to upgrade my ship. So shields probably first. Then I usually go for like the secondary systems. So upgrading those to level 2. So piloting, because you get an auto evade. Your doors, because if you get boarded, my biggest problem at first was getting boarded.
That was terrible.
And getting murdered.
That was terrible.
100% though. That was because you weren't pausing.
No, I wasn't pausing. No, because I'm like, oh, these guys are on me. What am I doing?
It's so tough to handle boarding if you're trying to play it real time, because the AI will move its characters throughout the ship so quickly, and unless you're very adept at the hotkeys already, which you wouldn't be if you don't know to pause.
Yeah.
It'll be incredibly difficult to win those battles, and the only way that you would is if they attacked your med bay and you had your characters in there healing while they're fighting,
which would never happen. You'd love your life if you're in the
and
med.
you can't even funnel them to that. Like, you could try, and that's what I would try to do, is like, I'm gonna let them take systems and then get them to my med bay and then just like gang up on them in my med bay. But I just kept getting killed by people boarding, because if some of the species have better attack, like combat, Mantis and I think Rock are just tougher.
I think Rock have extra health, but they are slower.
No, and they're fire immune.
They are fire immune,
which is gold, because like I kept them all. I always kept my, because I had one run where I was able to get one guy right away, and I'd put him right into my like engine bay.
I knew they were, but I've never used them in that way to like send them into the fire to go fix things.
I kept him at my smart. I kept him at my O2 in my engine area right next to just because I knew like if the O2 went down, everyone's dying because no one has oxygen to like live in the ship. So I always kept him in there, and then I kept him near the engine just in case, because that was like the closest thing next to it too. But yeah, I always wanted to have at least 4 crew members on my ship, and I'd try to get that one fire resistant guy.
I don't think I ever bought crew members.
Okay.
Because I was spoiled in so many runs where you attack a slaver ship.
Yeah.
Or you defend an outpost, or you help a colony or a lab that's on fire, and every single time they're like, oh man, everyone died here, but like I just want to join your crew, and here's the scrap. And you suddenly get someone who's like, they might have 0 stats. They might not be adept at shields or engines or piloting or whatever, but you put them in a certain room and you keep them there the entire game. And by the end, they're completely leveled up, and you get, an added bonus to shield recovery or a weapon charge or engine repair or combat. And so like business, FTL rewards having a diverse crew. Because as you play through, you get different options whenever you're faced with a difficulty.
Yeah, we call them like the blue options, right?
The blue options, exactly. So you're frequently bumping up against these different conflicts, these different situations when you go to a new point in the star map. And it, very frequently will be like, oh, there's a virus that's going through this human outpost and everyone's rioting. And the normal option would be 1 or 2. You can either let them go and everyone dies, let them fend for themselves, or you you send your crew down there to help. But if you send your crew down there to help, very frequently someone dies and you're screwed. You then have to play the game with one less character, or you have to then buy one. But if you have a diverse crew, you can send a crew member down there that's immune to whatever this disease is.
Like the NG, right? Because they're part robot?
They're
or
like basically all robotic.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it gives you different diverse options that allows you to handle these conflicts in different ways, and allows you to benefit from it the most.
Yeah, and sometimes that's systems. It's like, hey, your missile system's upgraded, or you have higher shields, or you have a specific crew type. But that's why I try to diversify my crew as much as possible. And that's why I hate when you have 3 humans at first, because even early on, you can miss out on blue options. They just won't show up because you don't have an NG or a Rock or a Mantis and
or a Zoltar
or a Zoltan. Yeah,
that's it.
Diversify as quickly as possible.
The Zoltan are amazing because their benefit is that they power up the system that they're in.
Yeah. They're like a reactor. They're like a free reactor point.
They're like nuclear beings.
When you got those blue options, is there a better chance of you landing something positive, or is it just another point?
I think there's only one blue option that has no positive benefit, and I think it's cloaking. So it's not only your crew that is diverse, but if you have different subsystems on your ship, very frequently if you have cloaking, you can use cloaking to avoid combat. And generally in most situations, you want to get into combat so that way you can destroy the other ship or take it over and collect all the scrap.
Yeah, I think the only time you wouldn't want to get in combat is if your hull is super damaged and you I need to get to a store and repair, or I have a buff that every time I jump I get healed, or every time I get scrap I get healed. But basically I just want to avoid combat for now.
So speaking about combat, what was your combat strategy? What did you find that worked and didn't work?
So I would say for me at first I was using missiles a lot because
Yes.
missiles go through shields and they, cause a little bit of damage. But I slowly started learning that like it's a finite resource, and once you get later in the game, like they'll have drones that can shoot down your missiles, and like they aren't as effective as like getting other weapons. So I would say near the end I used ion weapons more.
Ion are amazing.
Mm-hmm. And lasers, ion lasers and beams. That's kind of what I stuck to. I haven't won the game yet, so I'm very curious to hear your strategy, but that's kind of what I did.
Mo, what did you use?
So originally, following that same like get through as quickly as possible, like to the next level.
Just race them.
Well, I used every weapon, like both. I had two weapons. I had the Artemis rocket, and then I had like the regular lasers, the laser thing.
Burst 2.
Yeah, the 2 that one.
Yep.
So I would, and as soon as like I would get into a battle, I would aim for the captain like ship, the control ship,
Okay.
or area,
The pilot,
pilot's area exactly. And I'm like, as soon as I just get like 3 shots on that, things exploding regardless. And that was originally my strategy, but it didn't work as good, obviously, because like they would stay alive longer, and it's only one thing being damaged, so they'll send their crew to heal it. So then I switched. I want to say I started going for the missile area with like my burst rocket because it would damage it really quickly.
Like the weapon system?
The weapon system on the opposite ship, because that way they couldn't shoot me, and that gives me time to do damage on everything else.
Yes.
And then after that, depending on like how badass looking of the ship it is, I would take down the missiles. Then simultaneously, I'd move my like laser thing to the shield, and I would be shooting the pilot's bay as like my way of like taking it down.
Did you guys use auto fire?
Yes.
Or did you just individually queue up each attack?
It would depend.
Okay.
I would usually use it, but I got and I think what you're getting at is like the rhythm of the attacks really matters, especially when you have like 2 lasers, for example.
Yes.
Because I usually go for shields first. Shields first almost always.
Yep.
So depending on what the cooldown is on your laser, you can essentially set up your lasers to almost shoot, if their cooldown is the same, the first 3 bursts, and then maybe a second later the next 3 bursts.
Right.
So it the timing really matters. I would say most times I kept auto fire on though.
Well, that's another pro tip, because I don't even think I did auto firing. If I did, it was on accident and I didn't know how it worked. But like I'd always click and just like have it shoot here, click and then shoot here every time I wanted to shoot something specific.
I wish you could do auto fire on specific weapons.
You can.
You can.
Everything is you can hotkey everything.
Oh, but you have to hotkey.
You don't even have to hotkey. I think if you click auto fire and then click on the weapon subsystem and then click on the thing, it will auto fire only that weapon.
I'll have to look at that because right now it's like auto fire everything.
Right. Mm-hmm. So auto fire everything is like it's an obvious good beginning strategy because you just want to like take them down as quick as you can. The thing that I found worked especially well with the Kestrel, the first like human ship that you get, is to charge up both of the weapons, immediately shoot a missile that breaches all shields at the shield system, and then immediately have your burst laser follow up on their weapon system. Because what that does is it takes down the shield. Your burst lasers don't have to use one of the 2 bursts to take down the shield, and then you're able to immediately take down their weapon system and their shield system. I
would cycle between almost that too. Like sometimes I'd go straight for the missile system first, but other times I'd be like I'd take the shield out and try to take out the weapon systems next.
And it goes back to why I upgrade shields the most. Advantages in this game compound. So if you are not taking damage, you don't have to spend scrap to heal your ship. And if you don't have to spend scrap to heal your ship, you then have more scrap that you can use to upgrade the systems in your ship and make it more effective, or to buy new systems and subsystems or crew members or different little benefits that you find at the shop, or more missiles, whatever it is. And so using that strategy of immediately using a missile to take down their shields and the burst to take down their weapons, I found that I was hit far less, and I only ever really needed to use 1 missile per encounter. And if you're playing on easy, you almost always get multiple missiles from each encounter. So you at least stay at parity of where you were before you entered the battle.
Do you use a lot of missiles?
I honestly only use missiles until I get ion weapons.
Okay.
I found ion weapons, the sooner that you get them, the more effective they are, because it allows you, 1, to stockpile missiles for when you get into those very serious battles where the ship has 3+ shields. And the nice thing about ion weapons generally is that they recharge very fast. And so when you shoot an ion weapon at a system, if there's a shield in the way, it shuts down at least one level of shield based on the amount of ion damage it does. But if you get through all of the shields, it shuts down whatever subsystem for 5 seconds, I think it is, that you're attacking. So I often set my ion weapon to aim at the pilot's cabin, because if you can shut that down, they can't evade anything that you're shooting at them, because you completely immobilize their ability to move.
Mm-hmm.
It also immobilizes their ability to jump away and escape the fight.
When you do their piloting versus their engines?
Yeah.
So either or.
Either or.
Oh, see,
Yeah.
I always go for engines.
And see, engines make a lot of sense, because if you shut down the engine, they can't go anywhere.
Yeah, right.
But the thing that I like about shutting down the piloting system is they also can't evade any of your missile shots coming in. And so I would always have my ion weapons essentially aimed at the pilot. And so while they would shoot, I would have those on auto fire, get them going as quick as I can. They would take down the shields as it continues to shoot. And then my burst weapons, my burst lasers, would always make sure that they couldn't attack me. And so they're essentially immobilized, paralyzed. They're constantly offering, like, please let us, take everything we have. Just let us take our lives.
Yeah.
And then you say no.
Those burst lasers are deceivingly good.
So good for
Yeah.
initial weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You could take those into the end of the game. They probably won't be like
Definitely.
your number one weapon, but like you get 4 weapon slots, right? They could easily be your second weapon.
Yeah.
Like you'll have one big weapon, one burst laser, one ion weapon, and a missile.
Do you guys ever use the drones at all?
Never. I've never had success with the drones.
So see, like I thought they were super cool, so I added them onto my ship, and like the one guy, I had 2 of them. One that was healing my ship because I kept taking damage because I wasn't following my Ruffolo strategy, and then the other one was they shot projectiles that came to hit you.
right. The
Yeah.
attacking drone.
Yeah, exactly. So like whenever something was coming by, it would like shoot it down. So I thought they were fine, but I didn't get far enough where I guess I saw the late game worth. But you said you don't use them at all.
I've never had a successful run with them. I've won twice on easy, and I had 2 separate strategies there. The first time I did it, it was all about boarding the other ship, which is I've screwed up so many times, because if you're not consistently pausing and making sure your weapons are not on auto fire, you can blow up the enemy ship while your guys are on it, and then your just crew members are dead and they're gone. Also, you need to make sure the enemy ship doesn't jump away with your crew members on it. But the benefit, though, of sending your crew over to take over the ship is you get way more scrap. You get way more resources. And if you're taking over a slaving ship, you get the option of one of 3 slaves to then join your
What?
crew. Yeah.
I've tried boarding once and I screwed it up and I just never tried it again.
And it's definitely much more difficult if you're not continuously pausing the game, assessing where you're at. But I loved having a barrage of weapons, taking down their subsystems, setting fire to their ship, and then sending my crew members onto their ship into the room that's on fire, because they can't heal a room or put out the fire in a room that enemies are in.
So you're sending your crew to their death?
No, they don't go to their death, because then I pull them back onto my ship into the med bay, heal them up, and then send them back. And so once you kill off all of the enemy crew members, it's like you two were my boarding party.
Aw, thanks.
So Mike,
until I got a Manus, and then my Manus.
What'd you name your Manus?
I just always leave the name.
Okay.
But I think I had a Mantis named Alex Rigopulous, which I thought was hilarious. I'm pretty sure that was like a Kickstarter bonus if you hit a certain tier level.
I think it was just Rigopulous, wasn't it?
No, it was
Alex Rigopulous.
Yeah. Also, there was I think an NG that I found that was named Remo, which I'm pretty sure was a Chris Remo
Yes.
plug.
And Alex Rigopoulos is Harmonix CEO, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I always kept the crew member names of the people that I found throughout, but I always made sure that I had a Jacob, Mike, and Mo crew.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
Yeah. And we did well.
So here's what I'm hoping that you can... I'm sitting down at the table of Michael, and I'm saying, Michael, please help me. Because I find that the things that I'm having the most trouble with late game is missiles and hacking.
Are you running out, or...?
I'm getting killed by missiles. Like, those are the things that are destroying me, are the bigger missiles.
Right.
And then getting hacked. So I'll give you an example. So I made it to the boss 3 times. I lost
Okay.
every single time.
Right.
But the one time that really made me upset, I had full hull, I had tons of missiles, I had a good loadout, tons of crew, whatever. What screwed me was, at the back of my ship, there's the engines. So hacking is, they're going to send a drone in, and essentially they take over one of your modules. So at the back of your ship is your engines. Send the hacking in, and what they did is they activated the hacking. And when they do that, it locks you out of that area, and it also like turns that section off. So simultaneously, they hacked it, locked me out, and the whole back of my ship was on fire.
Oh no.
So I just got euchred, and then they kept sending in missiles, and I got so upset because like I had the best loadout, and I got screwed by something. Again, missiles and hacking; those are the things that I still haven't figured out the best strategy to kind of go up against.
So I don't remember ever being hacked.
Okay, because that's an advanced edition thing.
Okay.
You'd probably need that drone that like defends your exterior, I'm assuming.
For missiles, yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, I don't know if I agree with you on the drone thing.
I mean, I've just never had success with the drones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they're a bad investment. I'm
Yeah.
sure you can have a very successful drone run.
Yeah.
I've just never had any success with it.
But you're saying boarding runs are kind of what we should look at.
Boarding, if you can get very competent at remembering to pause and not play the game in real time, you can auto queue where your guys are going to go, what you're going to attack, let it play out, pause, and do it again. And taking it very slowly will allow you to completely take over the other ship, completely scrap it, and get the most amount of scrap that you can get. So very often in a fight, if you get close to destroying the other ship, they'll realize, like, we stand no match for you, just spare us our lives, or here, take a slave that we have instead.
If you have someone in their ship.
No, they don't have to be in their ship.
Oh.
So if you're in a battle with another ship, they'll say, you know, if it was a slaver, they're like, please take this slave instead, let us go. Like, if you destroy us, everyone's going to die anyway. Or here's all of these drone parts, missiles, fuel, scrap, some combination of the 3 out of the 4. Take it and let us go. And you can always roll the dice. You can either take what they offer you, or you can blow them up and see what's left at the end of the battle.
Sometimes it's less.
Sometimes it's less, and sometimes it's more, and you can never be sure. But if you board their ship and take it over, you get the max. You always get more than anything that they could offer.
If they offer or if they blow up?
Either one. You always get more if you take over the ship.
Oh, okay.
So it's the way to maximize getting your scrap. And like I said, in this game, advantages compound. So if you can make sure you're not getting hit, you don't have to spend that scrap to heal. If you can get more scrap from every encounter, you can use that towards building your ship to make sure that the next encounter is that much easier. Which is why in the very early sectors, you want to explore as much as you can. And you want to get advantages that allow you to explore. So one of my favorite upgrades to the ship was the FTL beacon, which allows you to go back to any beacon that you've previously been to. Mm-hmm. And what it allows you to do is jump around and explore as much as you can without having to worry about the rebel wave catching up to you.
Is there any other like additional add-ons that you found were... because there's one that's like advanced navigation or something like that, and it basically like on the map it shows you, hey, here's a ship, here's a ship, here's a store, here's a distress, all at the beginning. So you kind of know how to set your path.
A sun with solar flares,
yep,
which are the worst to fight in, because it's always a rebel automated ship that has no care for being hit by a solar flare.
Because there's no oxygen in their ship, there's no people, so they don't care if it's on fire.
Yeah.
Well, they do, but
not
really.
I found that one was very beneficial. Mm-hmm. I found anyone that allowed you to get more scrap was hugely beneficial. Like I said, the more that you can compound your advantages and make your ship better, the easier the later game is going to be. I found that better. I found any upgrade that allowed you to shoot faster or recharge your shields. And you often don't get to choose which one of these you get. It's kind of the roll of the dice, like any roguelike.
Yep.
What you stumble upon, what is available at the shop. But those are generally the things that I would look for and go for. How did you handle your final encounters? Mo, did you get to a final encounter?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So it's a multi-stage boss fight. So like you get to a final. Maybe you did.
Okay, go ahead.
It's like a final map, and it's like you're at the final map, and it changes a little bit in that like there are repair beacons that if you go to them, you get reloaded, you get repaired. But then there's a base
For free.
and then there's a bit for free, and there's a big monster ship, and you're kind of moving around this map. And when you encounter them, that's when you go into the final fight. But you may fight other ships along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I never got past the first encounter because it's a multi-stage. So you beat him, you quote unquote beat him once.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the ship gets ripped away, and then you move away, go back, and he has different weapons. But I never got past the first wave or the first configuration of the ship, just because it's a monster. It's got 4 weapons. Would boarding help in that case?
I didn't win that one by boarding. I won that one by consistently shutting down their weapons.
With what?
So I would, again, use
with your weapons?
A combination. By the end of the game, I have 3 weapons that were operating. I would have a burst laser, I would have ion weapons of some sort, and missiles. And so I would send a missile in to shut down as much of the shield as I could. I would have my ion consistently aiming at a vital crew element, whether it's oxygen or the engine or the piloting, anything that allows them to continue to operate their crew. And then my weapons my burst lasers aimed directly at their weapons. Because if I could shut down their barrage of attacks coming at me, it would be much harder.
Because they had 4 separate weapon systems, right? Ugh.
And they're all, in my experience, they were all different types of weapons. So they would have lasers, they would have ion weapons, they would have missiles. And so for me, by the end of the game, I usually have 3 shields. So I just need to make sure I shut down either their ion weapon or shut down their missile. And you can, as you get to the end of the game, you're able to look at a ship and tell which weapon is which. Mm-hmm. And because the hull attacking weapons, the laser weapons, they don't matter if you have shields. Like
the beams.
The beams,
yes.
Yeah, they don't matter if you have shields.
Yeah.
So you can let those attack you as long as you have a shield up.
They're devastating if you don't have a shield up, though.
Right.
They're the ones that go.
So I
cut through a ship.
I think based off of all these pro tips and fun facts, we're going to be charging for this podcast. So if you're listening to this, congratulations for paying the low price of $59.99
and your time.
Yeah, no, I can't emphasize enough. There's no real tips or real instructions that kind of give you all of this info for this game. Whereas you might find on YouTube or if you do a lot of researching, but everything you've heard now puts you in a great position to maybe beat the game.
Yeah.
Maybe. Which is, if you played it without it, you're going to struggle and then maybe beat the game. Sure.
But I think the struggle is so much of what makes this game rewarding. Because I feel so good about having won the game or doing well and progressing because I remember all the times that I couldn't progress and wasn't doing well.
Okay.
And there's always that reference point of I was really bad and then I got good, and every time I get to flex that muscle of I know what to do here, I know how to make sure I survive here, I know when I should jump from a battle versus when I should finish it, I know what item I should be buying and when
do you jump from battle sometimes?
If I'm hugely outclassed, I will, because it's more important to survive than it is to not.
So I don't want to twist at your heartstrings even more, Mike. So Braid, a previous game we put on the podcast, we've kind of agreed that it's a very hard game and it's almost impossible to play and beat. This game probably has the same difficulty, but I wouldn't say it's impossible to beat. There's definitely a way to beat it because you've learned more after each time you play it. You're not bashing your head through a wall saying this is impossible, this is impossible. Every time you lose, you're I could have beat it, but something just got me. You're almost one breath or one click away from continuing on to an easier fight. That's, I guess, the difficulty in itself is.
Yeah, because Mike, you often say that your advantages compound, but I would say in a bad situations tend to compound.
That's true.
Fires start to happen, people are boarding your ship, one of your vital systems goes down, and you could be at full health, but one ship could take you fully down, and not even a bad a mid-class ship could take you down if you don't play it well.
Mike said it best. So he would beat the game, and then he went back and lost the next run right after. So it's usually, if you beat any game, you're going to cruise through the second time playing it. And even if it's on a harder difficulty, you know what's coming. This one, it's almost like a roll of the dice. You might get to the end, you might not. You're increasing your probability, but your probability is still extremely low to be successful.
You could get totally outclassed within the first sector and just be like, I can't jump away because my engines are taken away. Yeah. I can't fight him because I have no shield. Like, you could get murdered. You could get wrecked in the first sector, even if, as you said, Mike, you're an expert in the game.
Well, one of the things that I do love about this game is every time you die and start a new run, they give you a little tip based on how the last run went. So it'll be like, try not to rush to the exit. Like, use your time exploring. Or
is that written?
It is.
So well, that's the thing that I shared with you.
So you'd have to read it, right?
I was laughing as
so guess what I missed?
Reading.
Yeah. So just to clarify, I can read.
Can you, Mo?
I do have an education, but I just prefer not to. In video games, I like when stuff is like dictated to me. I like something dictated to me or visually presented to me. I'm not there to read, man.
Yeah.
So how many encounters did you just click through and be like, oh, so this is the outcome of the thing that I just clicked on?
I'd click. I'd either get money or I'd lose money. I'd either get a new...
How many bad trades did you make?
There was like some where I'd read it. Like sometimes they're like, hey, there's this the distress areas, like go here to help save someone. And then there's one where it's like you accept a quest to carry something to another region. So I read that.
Or escort them.
Yeah, and then I'd take the stuff over and I'd get money for that. I'm like, hey, this is positive. Maybe I should keep reading. But then I continued not to, and I just kept playing it the way I have.
Did you guys play good guys or bad guys? What was your operating philosophy?
Okay, so there's no literal
intervene in post.
I think I was a Han Solo.
Okay.
So like I was a bit of a maverick, and like I will help if it's convenient for me.
Okay.
But like if Papa Solo is having a hard time in this run, guess what? You're gonna get wrecked. Han Solo.
Yeah, I think initially, whenever they would say this is like a bad ship and they need help, I would try to help, but I got burned so many times where now it's like, if someone needs help, sucks. Like, what, are you here to trade or what? Like, do you want to give me something? No. I've traded sometimes. Yeah, no, I wouldn't even say I was a good or bad. I was looking out for my well-being. I wasn't going to extend myself to, like, wasn't going to risk anything for any reward. I was going to, like, if something was mutually beneficial or it would make my life easier, like passing through a weaker person.
I played this game like I played NeoPets. When it's convenient for me to feed my NeoPets, I will do it. I don't know why I brought up NeoPets.
You let them starve.
Otherwise, I let them starve. They never die, I don't think.
I mean, they're digital creatures.
They're digital creatures. How would you play the game, Michael?
So I often tried to play as nice of a guy as I could. Unless it was a situation that I knew, like, oh, there's a rebel or there's a ship with pirate markings on it, and they're saying that there's that they need help, that there's a distress, and it's
I'd always attack.
I know what's up.
Hey, it's a trap.
Yeah, I'm not going to hail them. I'm going to attack them before it happens.
Yeah,
I did not always give everyone the benefit of the doubt. If you're flying a rebel flag, if you're flying a pirate flag.
Because sometimes they can get the jump on you if you do that. Yeah. They can be like, hey, they shut down one of your systems, or hey, they damaged you 5 before the battle even starts.
That's exactly probably the situation that burned me the first couple times where I saw something like that. I'm like, oh, let me just help them out. Who knows? Maybe they're just misunderstood.
Yep.
And I'd get burned. I'm like, all right, every time I come near them, attack. The first option, attack them, move away, or whatever it was. I'm like, attack.
You know, one of the things that really got me at first is how to pick between the next sectors to jump to.
So what did you?
You gave me a good tip too on this.
But I honestly feel like the tip I gave you now I hate the tip I gave you.
I was so quiet when you were giving the tip to avoid the nebulas.
So I'm gonna take back what I said to you. And thankfully you've only played like 6-7 hours. So like there are 3 different places you can go to. Green is friendly, red is enemy, and purple is a nebula. So the nebula, it's dangerous for you to go into a nebula. I'm not taking back what I say, but I'm going to add to it.
Okay.
In a nebula, if you go in a nebula, they're like ion fields, or like...
You can't see in front of you.
You can't see in front of you, exactly. But the thing that I'm going to add to this is nebulas are dangerous. So I would say at first I try to avoid nebulas if my ship isn't up to date. But if my ship is capable, go into nebulas, because the best items and the best blue options come from nebulas. And
going through a nebula slows down the rebels.
Yes.
So it gives you more time to explore.
Why didn't you jump in and say, Jacob, you were wrong?
No, because part of the game is playing and learning. Mm-hmm. Right? I wasn't going to rob you of that, the rewarding feeling of like, oh no, I learned something new, and my next run is going to be better.
I just learned that like yesterday or 2 days ago. So I would say like, if it's the first sector jump, avoid a nebula because you're probably not well equipped. But if it's like sector 3 or later, go to a nebula first, because there's better gear and loot in a Nebula.
Another hot tip from Left Behind Game Club.
Yeah. And then even in certain, because you have to read what they are too. You have to read. So like the red things, it can be like Mantis Homeworld, and there are special quests and special classes of ships in certain like Homeworld versus Colony.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought they were just randomly generated names for everything.
No, so the Mantis are like the Klingons. I don't know if you guys.
They're like the praying mantis.
Yeah, they just want to attack. They're a warrior race. They're constantly looking to fight. The NGs are peaceful, friendly, robotic people. The slugs are skeevy merchants who are always looking to make money.
Yeah.
They have a special ability to mind control.
What?
Yeah. The Zoltan are are the most scientific beings. They're always trying to run experiments.
They're the nuclear men,
they're
right?
The nuclear men who have low health. So if they get damaged and die, they blow up the subsystem that they're in, which is very dangerous.
Yeah.
But the benefit to them is that they automatically power a room that they're in, at least with one reactor bit. The Rockmen are, I think
they're slow and tough because they have higher HP, right?
And generally friendly.
And they are resistant to fire.
Right. And then, was there any other?
There's a secret. Well, there's the Lanius, which is like the expansion race, and they're the ones that look like Silvermen that take the oxygen out of a room.
Right.
And then there's the Crystal, which is like a secret race that I still haven't found.
Right.
Yeah, and they offer special weapons and other things. I've never found one though. I think that's all of them. Yeah, that's all. And then humans, obviously,
right,
which are just fleshy meat bags.
Which I think the Mantis call you that at some point.
A fleshy meat bag?
Something like that, yeah.
I just remember some of the flavor text is fun because I posted
so well
one.
written.
Yeah, I posted one where it was a slug and he's like, "Hello, would you like to drink some slime with me?" And I posted that on my Twitter. I thought it was quite cute.
What happened when you drank slime with the slug?
I forget what happened, but it wasn't negative.
Oh,
it was either neutral or positive.
Okay.
I think it was just neutral.
I was the least trusting of the slug people because they were always trying to get a one-up over you.
I really like the fire-resistant guys.
The Rock?
The Rock.
Yeah, I like them. You
like to rock out.
Yeah, just the I don't know, maybe because like I was burned, pun intended, with so much fire early on in the game that when I found out there was a character that was fire immune, I'm like, I need all of them. Like, even if the place is not on fire, I just need them just in case because it was such a bad experience. I hated when things were burning.
You guys knew the tip to air out your room so that way there was no oxygen in the room for the fire.
I had that one issue with clicking, and I didn't know the hotkeys right away.
Right.
So, like, when I would let everything clear out, but then I wouldn't close everything in time, and then eventually other rooms would start losing oxygen, and then my guys would die, and then I'd be attacked while I'm doing this because I didn't do the pause little technique.
The upgraded blast doors are fantastic because they not only prevent people from getting through your ship, but they also prevent fires from spreading. So you could make sure that you could deal with a fire.
And you have to get on it quick.
Based on where they come in, like if someone boards your ship, let's say they board in the back. If you have improved blast doors, you can open up the ship to space, drain all the oxygen, and like they're not going to die, but they're going to get damaged even before they get close to your ship.
Yep.
So blast doors, faux show, upgrade those bad boys. I want to talk about one more thing. It's just weapons that I feel like we shouldn't use. Okay. So we didn't talk about flak weapons and bomb weapons. So flak is the one where it's like a shotgun where they just shoot like metal and steel at your, and it may be expansion content.
It's probably expansion,
but essentially it's like a shotgun, and it's like, and it shoots like 3 to 7 little pellets that are kind of like missiles, but they're very inaccurate.
A shotgun in space. I love it.
That goes bleh. So I didn't use flak, and then bombs. So bombs are one thing that I want to ask you about because
the ones that teleport.
There are bombs that teleport. There are fire bombs. There are heal bombs. I have never had any success with bombs. Do you use bombs?
Never
Bombs.
Never.
I find weapons that I have high success with, and I tend not to vary from them.
So I guess as a final piece before we wrap up here, Mike, you've obviously won the game before. We have not. I'm going to not stop playing this game until I beat it. So I want to know, like, what hot tips, weapon loadout, like, what should we be looking like? What does your ideal run look like?
I mean, it all depends on what you get early on. But for me, an early ideal combo is some laser burst and some ion weapons.
Okay.
And then you have a missile to help take out a shield early on a ship that's, is going to give you some trouble. I think the beauty of this game is that you learn your lessons as you play, and you figure out what works for you. And it's rewarding to know I am making the correct decision here, and because I made that decision, I am going to win this encounter.
The one thing that I picked up early on from you guys, and I said earlier in the podcast, and I'm going to summarize it right now. If you're going to be playing this game, explore each region early on. Try to get as much gold, I guess, as possible while everything is easy. And upgrade your shields is another big one. And learn hotkeys, because those will save you, especially opening and closing doors. You're going to be loving life if you're able to control everyone quickly without relying on selecting them with a mouse and so on. That's probably your best bet, and then you're going to die, but you'll learn. You'll keep going. And the best thing about this game is it's replayable, and it never really gets old.
Every run is different than the next.
Yeah, it's the same like concept continuously, but it's like it just keeps changing. Like some of the games I play on my phone, like to kill time while I'm commuting, are mindless, repetitive games, but they just keep changing in like some quick way. There's not really that much complexity, and those are the ones I keep coming back to because hey, it's the same thing, but it's just changes slightly one way or the other.
Do you upgrade your oxygen at all?
Never.
Do you upgrade your med bay at all?
I do.
Okay. Why would you upgrade your med bay?
It gives you a blue option. There's a blue option in certain encounters.
And if you're boarding too, you probably want to heal your guys fast. Okay, so I guess it would depend on the strategy.
Exactly.
If you're boarding, upgrade.
Exactly.
If you're not, maybe upgrade later.
Yeah, like it all depends on what your ultimate strategy is. But I think for every run, I've never had any trouble when I upgrade my shields first, my engine second, my piloting and blast doors, and then the remaining into my weapons or subsystems.
Any final thoughts about this video game?
It's a fantastic game.
Yeah.
I didn't think that I was going to have as much fun and get pulled back in as I did. And like I was saying to you guys before I recorded, I often had one laptop open doing work and another laptop with the game running in the background. And just, when I had 2 minutes in between writing out an email, just, okay, what's the next thing that's decision that I have to make? Can I finish this encounter? And the runs are fairly quick. You can get to the end within 10, 15 minutes and then realize what you did wrong and go in and try it again to improve.
This game is like $15, right?
Yeah. So I think I've said something like this, or maybe some of us have said it in previous games. It's a good game, but I paid full price. And I'm kind of upset. But this would be a great game if it was like a 50% minimum sale. I'd say instant buy because it's so replayable. It'll only be like the $5 or something like that, and you'll definitely be getting it's okay. I'm gonna even go back on that. It's good for full price just because of the replayability, and you can keep playing this nonstop over and over and over again.
Low system specs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can play it on the tablet.
Play it on a phone.
The tablet version would be sweet. I think that'd be like an awesome way to play it because once again, it's not really there's not that much stuff moving. You're in like a map, and the map kind of changes, and your guys move. If it was on sale, pick it up. You'll like it. You'll get better at it. If you have time to kill, it's definitely you can dump your brain in it for a while. Keep playing. Yeah, I liked it.
So Matthew Davis and Justin Ma, who are the Subset guys, they love board games, and that's why they made FTL. Mm-hmm. And I can totally see the board game inspiration here.
That makes so much sense now that you say it.
It totally does. I love this game. I will probably keep playing it until I beat it once, and then I will say, okay, that was amazing. I had a great time. I'm going to drop this and go on somewhere else. I think it's worth full price because it's like $15. I think it's $10 on iPad. Again, maybe a different price in your local currency, wherever you're listening to this. But it's great. And right now, they have their new game that just came out, Into the Breach. So Into the Breach is Subset's new game, just came out. And I know at the beginning, they were offering a promotion where you buy Into the Breach and you get a copy of FTL for free. My God, there's hundreds of hours of gameplay within that you can try. So FTL, Faster Than Light, good video game.
Highly recommended.
Highly recommend.
Recommended. Not highly, but it's recommended. It's definitely.
We'll get you there eventually.
Yeah,
now that you've got these pro tips, you're going to go in.
Yeah.
Play it.
To be honest, if you get these pro tips, you'll probably have a better experience than I did. There's a lot of struggling.
But the struggle is part of the fun.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm the total guy where it's if it was any other game for some reason, if it's just a struggle for no reason, you don't see an end to it. Whereas this one, I can see myself taking all this information, taking all these tips, and getting better and progressing farther which kind of keeps you motivated to keep playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know what makes me upset is I was looking for a resource like Mo where I can like go and just learn hot tips. And because everyone makes video now and the YouTube algorithm rewards people for longer videos, I type in faster than light tips, whatever, on YouTube, and you get like 30-minute videos. I'm like, bro, I don't want to listen to someone talking 30 minutes about this game. Can someone just give me 5 minutes, 4 minutes, a PDF? I just need tips. I want to beat this dang game.
But this podcast is like an hour, and we're talking about the one game.
Dang it, I did it.
Jacob, where can the people find you at?
They can find me at Jacob McCourt on everything. Twitter is where I usually do a lot of my musings. And then if you want to watch me play games, jacobstreams.com.
Awesome. Mo, where can the people find you
You
at?
can find me at mmurtadi everywhere across the board. And feel free to jump on our Discord, folks. We have a link directly on our website, www.leftbehindgame.club. Scroll down a little bit, you'll see a giant button that says join the Discord. See you there.
We do hot game deals. We talk about games. It's fun.
Boys, do we have any shout-outs this week?
Well, I personally want to shout out Dave underscore core on Twitter, a friend of the show, Dave, for giving me some hot tips about weaponry early on. They were tips that I didn't necessarily love. He's like, hey, use flak weapons. I don't know if I love that tip.
Dave's a good guy, though.
Dave's a good guy, and I wanted to shout out Dave.
Shout out.
And you can find me at Ruffolo M on most places online or michaelruffolo.com. And that, my friends, is one less game left behind.